Okay, so today we are going to talk about something interesting. I am not going to name a spirit. A spirit is basically wanting to remain anonymous. But since my video about fairies and water spirits, my post on Facebook on that topic became like a really popular. I'm gonna talk about this again because there seems to be an audience for that kind of work. I'm gonna talk about a lot of different things without naming any spirits. Because if you don't know the names, fuck you, you can't use it. You don't know who it is. And this entity doesn't want to be used. Okay. Uh, he is more than satisfied to work within his own region. He's one of the few Slavic/Balkan spirits who doesn't want to be known. Basically, he's not a part of neo-pagan revival, but he is definitely a part of a tradition which is not neo-pagan. Uh, my problem with neo-paganism is they basically tend to ignore spirits and traditions who are there and claim that they are Christian, while any serious person is going to tell you that they are not. Any serious person is going to tell you that uh, when something basically is clearly not Christian, it's probably pre-Christian. So I have a really big issue with people who claim to be pagans. First, I don't think worshipping those spirits is necessary. I said it many times. Now, in this video, I'm gonna make a really short note before we continue. That short note is you have to study. What do I mean by you have to study? Okay? You have to read a lot. And not just read, you have to go to certain places, ask certain people, go to certain spots in nature, do your operations there. It's a lifelong pursuit, which will make you much more capable. Spiritual, intellectual, and physical progress are one and the same. If you are getting older, you can still be physically active and progress physically to a degree, taking into account the limitations created by time. So now, when we clear that out, we're gonna talk about water spirits and working with water and working with locals in general. And then I'm gonna call one powerful water spirit I'm not going to name. I'm also going to describe what I do during the ritual and what I'm going to do so that you are not confused. Okay. So I'm gonna have a lot of things to give to the spirit, but as requests. But before I give it to the spirit as requests, there is something I want to discuss before I start doing the ritual, which you obviously all came to watch here. When you work with spirits, understand that you are not in control. They are in control. There is a specific set of circumstances where you can bind them and make them, force them to do what you want, but that's not really beneficial. You have to understand that especially if you're calling higher ranking spirits. You are approaching them as a disciple, as a student of something. There is an aspect of the universe you want to learn, and some desires you want to fulfill. And by calling them to do something, you are basically agreeing for them to do their part, you do your part, and you also study that what you want to achieve. It's not a coincidence that even Christianity realized this. With all of the warped perceptions of how spiritual world operates in many regards, Christianity acknowledged that what serpent gave to Adam and Eve in the garden is knowledge. So what it really means is, let's say you are summoning a spirit. Hey, let's say I'm working with Gramarye. Right? I am working with Gramarye. And I'm calling Gramarye to help me with some woman I like. Okay? So Gramarye is gonna do what he can do. If the offerings are proper, if the payment is proper, he is going to make that woman do something, and then you're gonna do that thing and you're gonna like it. Right? But you are also obligated to study love in general, romance in general, how it operates. It's not just spirit doing the thing and you doing the thing. There is also an acquisition of knowledge. In any spiritual ritual, in any spiritual practice, if it's done efficiently, it results in acquisition of knowledge. If it doesn't result in acquisition of knowledge and you are just doing one and the same thing over and over again, if there is no transformation, if you are remaining stagnant, something is wrong with your practice. And this is why a lot of the Sufis, controversial ones, I may add, but they still existed, observed working with spirits as a form of education. So even if you are doing a spell for some material thing, you are still obtaining wisdom and obtaining knowledge of sorts, right? Because you are learning the mechanics of the spiritual and physical universe through engaging with that on a really deep level, right? And they call it knowledge, they call it wisdom, they call it hikmah, okay? The wisdom. Gayat al-Hakim, the art of the wise, the same as the famous Arab grimoire and talismanic magic, is called the art of the wise, but majority of the book is actually love spells. But even if you do the love spells and talismans for love spells or something else, you are basically learning the mechanics of the universe through engaging with that. You are learning how energy works, how jinn work, how angels work, how planets work, how medicine works, how all of that is interconnected. And in the process of creating those talismans, you are also engaging with those sciences. You are also engaging with those crafts, and you are learning them, and you are obtaining them, and you are becoming wiser person, more knowledgeable person. And this is clearly depicted in the old story about water spirit and his student, where water spirit kidnaps a man and he kidnaps a bunch of other people, and he studies for a really long time in the realm of the water spirit, and the water spirit at the end decides this guy's an idiot, he didn't learn anything. He constantly asks questions, he never figured out anything. And then water spirits lets him go home, right? But the thing is, all this time, the guy who pretended to know nothing actually learned from the water spirit, and then water spirit starts realizing, wait a minute, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. I need to bring him back So I want to work with this guy. So the water spirit starts to catch him. He starts to find a way to bring him back to his home after he let him go. And then the story ends by the student of the water spirit outsmarting the water spirit and remaining in his house, remaining in his home, right? Not returning to work for the water spirit and like be more of his how to put it base counterpart, um, or continuing to study where he doesn't want to study. Depends on how you interpret the story, right? So the only guy out of all of those guys who were imprisoned in the realm of the water spirit who actually studied everything and learned everything was the guy who pretended to know nothing the entire time. So basically, what this story teaches us, what this story tells us, is that you have to constantly study as you do magic. You have to constantly educate yourself. You have to constantly learn. It's not a static process. It's a dynamic process, a really dynamic process. Now, working with the water spirits is relatively easy. You just fall into trance and you go to the water in the trance state. There are many methods to induce the trance state. Uh, I discussed many of them on the channel. It's not really a place to discuss the trance state. And then you just give any foods which can be dissolved in water and bring them into the water, and you offer them to the water spirits and as a payment, and then you build a relationship with them. Then they start coming out of the water and then they start teaching you things, and after a while you're gonna meet a ruler of those entities even if you don't know his name. I'm not gonna say the name of the one I call, but that's none of your business. Okay? And this will also involve you making an agreement with them. It's a really specific agreement, which all of them basically subscribe to, right? You help them protect the water and you help them maintain the water. They work with you. Okay? And they are more destructive and chaotic than about 60% of the creation. Male ones are more chaotic than the female ones. Male ones are more dangerous. Female ones are less dangerous. They are more benevolent. But still, you have to understand that in order for them to work with you at all, you have to agree on a deeper level that you're gonna protect the water from pollution, from humans messing with the waterways. And humans have been messing with the waterways since the civilization started. And they have been messing with the waterways in a really stupid way. So let me describe what I mean via messing with the waterways. Right? Fishing fish to eat in a reasonable manner is not messing with the waterways. Disposing waste in waterways, disposing industrial waste in waterways, um, putting toxic gases in waterways. People have been doing it for a really long time, since civilization started. Dumping all kinds of unnecessary things into the water, changing the flow of the rivers without any reason whatsoever. Basically, as somebody who works with water forces, water spirits, you have to agree to help them prevent humans from doing that. It can be magically, it can be physically, it can be intellectually. You have to work on protection of the waterways. And in return for your assistance in protection of the waterways and nearby ground territory, they will help you. If you decide to work with them on any other base, so let's say that you want to work on the basis of I'm gonna give you 5 apples, you're gonna do so and so. It's not gonna work really efficiently because they don't give a fuck about your apples. They have all fish in the sea, all fish in the rivers they would want. And they have whatever they want to have in the river they are already living in. You giving them a few apples or giving them a few animals is more symbolic than anything, and it's more for them to compensate for the energy they are spending for your request than it is for anything else. The real collaboration comes when you help them protect the waterways. So we cleared what I'm summoning. I am not saying the names. There's also one more thing I want to teach you for the sake of this clip. Doing sign of a cross like this, sign of a cross, right, can empower and strengthen your magic because it energizes you in the middle of a ritual. And it prevents spirits who want to attach during the ritual to attach without your permission. And it also gives you energy. You can use this as long as you are psychically aware to charge yourself, regardless of what religion you are, and it also blocks the spirit from attaching without your permission. It works better if you are a Christian because of the all association Christians have with the cross, but it works regardless of your religion. So fall into trance, imagine the energy coming into the top of your head and charging you, and just do this. Okay. And you can do this as you are summoning spirits. You can do this during every magical operation. It's just an additional charge. One of the water spirits I work with told me this, and this is also the reason why all Balkan traditional practitioners do like this all the time. Cross sign all the time. Many of them never go to church, never take Eucharist. They never do any of that, but they do this all the time when they do rituals because they understand the mechanics of it. You're going to trance, you envision being charged from above, and then you just do this over and over. You just do this. You are summoning spirit, do this. Just preparing for the ritual, do this. Okay. So I did a gesture so you understand. And I am not a Christian anymore. I don't do any Christian shit, but this is working. It's working. I'm not gonna pretend it doesn't work. Okay. Now I am going to call the spirit. I call you Tartar. Tell me, I call you Water Spirit. Tell me, what should I, friend of mine, Shelley Bedford, do? Not Shelley Bedford. Shelley Bedford is not Korean now. Shelley B. What should Shelley B do? What should she do? I'm getting that she should work a lot with the essence of fire, with the fire energy. That's the response. Is she cursed? I'm getting no, she's not cursed. She's blocked. Now, what should my friend Jose do? He should merge with his ancestors, work with his ancestors, pray to the saints of his ancestors, incorporate their prayers in their worldviews, be really close to his family. There are a lot of people in his family who would be willing to help him and build bonds with him. He should consider the spiritual practices his ancestors left him. Really clear ancestors to improve his practice and his knowledge and his understanding of things. Water spirit, what can I do to assist Alexis, the niece of one of my friends? You should cast payments to me into the water. Four apples and one bread. You will be rewarded. Ask for no money. You will have enough. The woman will be helped, and you will be appreciated. And so will I. Water spirit, what should I do? You should call the dragons to strengthen you. In them lies the power you should harness. Spend time in the wilderness and forsake the paths of those who have never seen the forest. Okay. Is there any message you wanna say for the end of this? You should not record me extensively. I have no interest in that. If you do, you will not be punished. But further recordings of me will be something I do not appreciate. Thank you, Water Spirit. Thank you, and thank you for coming. Is there anything else? No. Okay, guys, I think this was enough.